Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cricket Surgery. My name is Vasant Iyer, and we are very excited to bring to you the India versus England Test Series preview. Just a few weeks after India won the Border Gavaskar Trophy 2-1 for their second back-to-back away series win in Australia, people are really excited, and the time has already come for a new series featuring England this time, who are visiting India after 4 years. Last time around, they were drubbed 4-0. But this time around, there's more cause for excitement. To talk about it more, I have with me, as always, Adi, who's joining me. Adi, how are you feeling? Are you excited for the new series? Has the previous series kind of, are you over the hangover of the India-Australia series yet?
I don't even know why you're doing this. I don't really even know why we are doing this. Just pack up and let's go home because nothing is going to match or leave aside bettering what we saw the last last time around. So excited of course in seeing a lot of cricket in action, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be anticlimactic considering what we have just seen. It's beginning to sink in now, and the proportion of victory that we saw last time at Brisbane basically is humongous.
When you say it'll be anticlimactic, do you mean in terms of results, in terms of the fact that India will end up demolishing England? Is that the prediction in your mind right now?
You want me to go up front? Yes, 3-0 will be a sobering result for India for me. Anything less than a 4-0 is going to be a sobering result, and I think that's something to be expected, especially after we have done so amazingly well in Australia against a full strength Australia with the limited resources. Anything less than a 4-0 should be viewed very strictly.
So you believe that India have every reason to win every single test match that they play against England this time around,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
there's no excuse to even give up like on a single game. All right.
We are horrible fans, I know, but yeah, that's what it has to be. Home series, come on, dude.
I think
Nearly full strength, so yeah.
I remember the PCB recently talking about a similar thing where they were
Uh,
discussing Misbah's future, and they mentioned that anything in a home series, even against South Africa, it's unacceptable. That even a single
Absolutely.
loss. So they seem to have set some high standards.
But I think they've talked the talk, we have walked the walk, right? I mean, you look at the record from 2013 onwards. In 8 years, we've lost one Test match in India. So I think there's fair reason to be confident. The machinery is back in action, and so yeah, I'm expecting a good series, hopefully, but India coming out winners quite comfortably.
And you mentioned that the series loss in 2013 that was also at the hands of England. It was a very different side at that time. There were multiple knights playing for England. Sir Alistair Cook, Kevin Peterson was in the form of his life.
Ian
Ian.
Bell is going to be knighted too.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a totally different team, a historic win last time around. It's going to take something of a mammoth effort this time around for
Sir
England.
Montipane, sir.
So it's going to take a mammoth
Yeah.
effort this time around on England's part to even mount up a fight, much less a victory. So let's go through the batting order. Let's get into it a little bit. Yeah, so last time around, let's the way we've planned to do this is we'll talk about England's openers first, possible openers for England and then for India as well. There's not much doubt in terms of who will open for India. It's pretty much going to be Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, and in home conditions they're going to be like it's a formidable opening combination to go up against. Even if England probably will have two fast bowlers who have in excess of 500 and 600 test wickets, it's still going to be formidable to go up against Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill.
Oh, absolutely. Considering the kind of times they've had in the last couple of years, Shubman Gill is a star on the rise. I think we called it even before the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Shubman Gill is the future, is the present, and the way he played in Border Gavaskar, especially on the last day at Brisbane, that just filled our hearts with so much joy that this could be the coming of age moment for them, and the countdown has begun. The countdown has begun. 15662 to go, Sachin. It's on.
Is
So that and I think we discussed in this post series review too that Rohit Sharma's role was quite underappreciated in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. He was the calming influence on the team, and And in home conditions, it's he's pretty much up there right with the best. He averages some close to 95 at home in home conditions, something of that sort. So it's crazy numbers at home for Rohit Sharma, and Shubman Gill is the man to watch out for. So absolutely, expecting it to be an absolute run fest.
A lot of times it's easy to kind of be scornful about somebody's home record, but for somebody to kind of average close to 100 runs in home conditions, it's not easy, and it speaks of an extraordinary talent in Rohit Sharma. Compared to that, last time around, England came in with Alistair Cook to open the innings, and along with him was a precocious talent, the 19-year-old Hasib Hamid. And
Who I think just got another county contract after being dropped from his county side, right?
yeah, yeah. So at that time, it seemed like England had found their next Alistair Cook because he batted brilliantly. He played a really great innings on debut as well. He seemed like he had all the talent, but then it's just kind of faded away. He's performed really poorly in the last 3 or 4 years. He's lost all of his county contracts now, and he's no longer in the reckoning. And then there was Keaton Jennings who came in, and he also scored a century. But again, like he's also fallen out of favor. So this time around, it's Rory Burns who's who's going to be back from his parental leave, and Dom Sibley, I guess, who'll open the innings for England.
Yeah. So Sibley had a horrible time in Sri Lanka. I mean, 3 ducks back to back against left arm spin. So he out of 4 innings. So his poor thing has got serious issues. And Burns, well, he started off a bit promisingly, being a Cook light, I would say, but he's also been struggling for runs after a very good Ashes that he had in 2019. So he's been struggling right through the England home seasons, and with this COVID times, you're not quite sure how much of practice you'll be getting, and these are as difficult conditions as they would get for any Englishman and an English left-hander coming in to face probably the greatest spinner to left-handers that's ever been. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a huge challenge, and I'll be very very surprised if these guys can get England to a very decent start.
Mhm. And it's so people talk about the difficulty of before India toured Australia this time around. People talked about the difficulty of facing the Australian bowlers in their home conditions, but it is a totally different sort of an equation for a Tom Sibley. And the person who's going to follow him probably Zach Crawley as well at number 3. Now that Johnny Bairstow surprisingly came in after a year out of.
Let me just stick my head out and say that facing India in India as a bowling unit is probably the toughest challenge in world cricket right now, all factors considered. I think that's a fair comment to make. Aussies have got a great bowling attack. England difficult, yes, but India in India is absolutely something else.
It's a
So
frightening proposition, right? To kind of
yeah,
put yourself in Dom Sibley's shoes. I'm sure, like he's got plenty of talent, but and in the England openers must also be kind of rearing up to the challenge. They must really look forward to the opportunity to face up against Ishan Sharma, who'll probably be back, and we'll talk about these bowlers in just a bit. And Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj. It's going to be like a fearsome bowling attack. Who's going to be relentlessly coming at them all the time, and it's something that I hope that they stand up to, and at least like believe that they can put up a fight if they just stay in over there. If they could take an advice from Jermaine Blackwood, who had a chat with Kohli, and he told him that if you bat out time, if you play out enough balls, you will find a way to score runs. But I don't
they
know how
just
they're going to play
they
out.
just they just need to look back at their old opener, Sir Alistair Cook. I mean, that guy, with all due respect to him, he practically had 1.5 shot right in his armory, and yet he scored 12,000 test runs. It's all grit, it's all grit, it's all commitment, of course, technical proficiency, but a lot of scoring in India is about battling it out hours after hours. So I hope they do that. That will probably make it a good series for us to watch.
Talking of grit, I think England could also do well to borrow a leaf or a page out of Chateshwar Pujara's book. If they kind of, I mean, it takes an extraordinary amount of skill to continue to bat out long periods like he does. But if they manage
Every
to,
batsman in the world would do well to take a leaf out of Cheteshwar Pujara's book,
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
for sure. And so if by any chance they manage, I mean, the only way to face or like to kind of negate or put up that battle against this Indian attack is to try and tire them out because they are also going to be relentless. They're going to be impeccable in their line and length. So they have to, play out time and multiple sessions to kind of, even if they do bat first, it's going to be like an insurmountable challenge at the outset. So we've talked a lot about Pujara. We know what he can do. I mean, he's unbelievable in overseas conditions. He's going to be, he's going to be very, very difficult to destroy.
The surprising part, the funny part is that he's not got a Test 100 in 2.5 years. After the Sydney Test of 2019 early, he's not got a Test 100. So I mean, with all the ball eating that he's done overseas, I'm pretty sure he's willing to cash in for a few hundreds come the time to play at home. So I'm pretty sure he'll be hungry, and knowing him, it's going to take some stopping
And it's an
from
interesting
England.
point you bring up because I was just reading his interview after his, Sydney and Brisbane innings, and he talked about the fact that even if you can keep throwing punches at me, but I will also bring it, and I also have like a whole armory of shots that I'm not scared to kind of unleash. I have a feeling that Pujara is going to really, really, go. I think he's full of
Come into
confidence
his
this
own.
time around, and
Yeah,
there's no reason for him to kind of back down at this stage.
absolutely, absolutely. Looking forward to Pujara. Yes,
And then let's talk of the two captains. So there's Joe Root and then Ajinkya Rahane. I mean, so there's Joe Root and then there's Virat Kohli. There's
sometime in the
it's a
future, it's
combination
going to
of,
stop being funny.
yeah,
It's
that's
going to
that's
stop
probably
being
true.
funny.
That's probably true. And we've talked about this reference in the past. He's going to ride out on his horse to the field. And there's nobody out there who's going to take the captaincy away from him. Virat Kohli is not
Hmm.
ever going to give up his captaincy, and it just makes him an incredible player. Last time around, he was the highest scorer of the series, and he made a mammoth 235. What are your
Yeah.
predictions this time around? Is he in the same form as 2016, or do you suspect that there might be a way that James Anderson or Stuart Broad or any of the other English bowlers might find a way to breach the Kohli fort?
There is no stopping Virat Kohli this time. Mark my words. I was right on Smith. I was wrong on a lot of predictions last time, but I'm pretty sure that there's no stopping Virat Kohli. Now, see the context that he comes in into this series. He's not got a Test 100 for a year and a half. He's not got an international 100 in 30 innings in 2020. When was the last time that happened? In 2008. In 2008, the year he debuted. Right. So he's not got hundreds. He missed out on India's greatest ever series where he could have been there. I mean, again, personal issues aside, but yeah. So and this is just right for the taking. This is an occasion that Kohli is looking to make his own, and I'm pretty sure he's going to really come into his own. He got 655 in the five tests last time around. I remember with a huge double hundred, a 170, an 80, a 50 here and there thrown away. So a crazy series last time. I am expecting nothing less from this time too. So,
And he was well
but
on his way
but
to.
but let's put it in context. He's not going to be the highest scorer of the series.
You're saying that the English captain is going to be the highest scorer
Yeah,
of the
that's
series.
going to be reserved for his opposite number.
It's a fair point. I personally thought that Kohli was going to break his century drought in Adelaide. He looked well set on his way to 100 before the
The
real captain
assassination
decided to
came.
take matters into his own hands. It's like
That was quite a poetic moment, actually.
it was
Rahane,
tragedy. It was very difficult to watch at that time. Thankfully, those bad memories kind of marginally got washed away with things that followed. But Kohli's back. He's a father now. People talk about the change in mindset once somebody becomes a parent. It'll be interesting to see how an already very mature, aggressive, all-time great captain reacts to this change in his life situation. It'll be really, really interesting, and and great to watch Kohli back in action. I mean, we've missed him.
Oh, absolutely. Just you just want to watch him just be
Just
there
be
on the
on the
field,
field.
right? I think it does have some kind of a detrimental effect on the others, probably. I don't know. But for us fans, I think there cannot be a greater sight than watching Virat Kohli in action.
At one point of time, I actually look forward to our players touring, overseas. I still do. I mean, like for England and Australia, obviously you still do. But because of the cringe factor in the King Kohli thing going on in their own media, I just
Yeah,
feel
it's
way
become a bit,
nicer when
yeah,
like our boys play at home now. Like we are
absolutely,
allowed to
absolutely.
kind of do this.
Yeah, I agree. So now Joe
When it
Root,
comes to so Joe
tell me
Root,
about Joe Root.
again, like another all-time great Test batsman. His stock is absolutely soaring right now. He's coming off mammoth scores in Sri Lanka, a huge double hundred, and almost another back-to-back double hundred over there. Man of the series in Sri Lanka. He won. The previous, he swept, his team swept the previous visit to Sri Lanka as well, 3-0. And then, there was a
and
noticeable
and and let people say what they want. Let's put it across that sweeping Sri Lanka for an England team is a humongous achievement.
and to do it again and
However bad
again.
the yeah, so however bad Lankans may seem to us subcontinental people, but there were some terrific dust bowls,
The English people
you
don't
can
pay their salaries like we do.
yeah.
So
So, and mind you, if those Lankan wickets are dust bowls, Indian wickets are going to be very good wickets.
yeah,
So if they could manage doing that on those dust bowls, I'm pretty sure Joe Root is going to be a star in this series. A huge
and
moment for him too. I mean, he's playing his 100th test, so it's a huge journey. It just seems like he made his debut yesterday at Nagpur, during that 2012 series, and here he is. He's captain for more than 30 test matches, and playing his 100th test match. He's got almost 20 test hundreds. He's crossed the halfway mark, as we would say. So
to
that's
afford
that's insane.
such an Everest,
Mount Everest. So he's crossed the halfway mark. So that has got to mean something.
it's a huge achievement to cross 8,000 runs, and he's just turned
And I
30.
think something in his body language has changed, from the boy next door. I think we talk about this very often that Cummins ball just changed something inside him, probably. That
The
Cummins ball
Ashes
at
in
Old
2021.
Trafford.
Yeah.
Yeah, Old Trafford. I think that
I
changed.
think that was the
He's
worst any batsman could get. I think after that he was like, I can't get a better ball than this."
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just
so
changed.
might as well. So
Uh,
I think he's good. And let's face it, he's hands down one of the best players of spin going around in the world at the moment. So I think if anybody has a chance in the subcontinental conditions, it's got to be him. Kane Williamson, Steve Smith, yes, there are a couple of others, but Joe Root with his barrage of sweeps all around the wicket, sweeps and reverse sweeps, he's going to be a very, very difficult proposition
You're
for
right. I think
India
like
to
something
counter.
has changed in his body language. I think the spark has returned to his batting. I mean, the
The
Joe
fun
Root
has
of
returned to it.
2015-16 was noticeably absent in the last 2 or 3 years, and
Yeah.
he was failing to convert those into hundreds. But now he's got a double hundred in New Zealand and a double hundred in Sri Lanka now, and he just seems to be unstoppable. So really hoping that Joe Root finds more
And
form
we
in
might
this.
add, he got hundreds at Rajkot and Chennai last time too. So he had a very good series last time, just not enough. So yeah.
Yeah. So looking forward to Joe Root facing up to. I mean, like Ashwin got the better of Steven Smith last time around. I think he's just going after each member of the Fab Four club. So the next one on, next one up is
He's had the better of Williamson for a long time, to be very
exactly. So
honest.
now
That's
is
true.
Joe Root's turn. It'll be a fascinating battle,
It'll be
one
a
between
fascinating.
Joe Root and
That
Ashwin.
that that is going to be the battle that's going to decide whether India win 4-0 or anything less.
I think even more than Kohli versus Anderson now. Anderson is like now
Uh,
well past his peak,
and to be very
despite
honest,
multiple six fours.
yeah, and to be very honest, India has got enough in their tank to allow Kohli to have a bad series.
Yeah,
England don't have that luxury. If Root has a bad series, it's going to be
so
very painful to watch.
speaking of, there is one other person who might be able to swing things in England's favor, and that's Ben Stokes. He's back in the team now. It's again like a great prospect to, and he had a pretty decent two last time around as well. He got a
Oh, with the bat and with the ball, he got 100, he got an 80, he got a fifer, and so he just faded away towards the end of the last tour. But yeah, absolutely.
And so
Ben
Ben
Stokes is
Stokes
Ben
with the
Stokes.
bat or Ben Stokes with the ball,
I
which
don't,
one?
or in the field, we just don't need to say a word about him. He's just Ben Stokes, man. He can do anything.
It's
So
interestingly another. I mean, another all-rounder who's been brought back into the Indian squad is Hardik Pandya, and it was interesting that at one point of time, not even one point, just a month ago, Kohli said that unless Pandya starts bowling again, we can't consider him to be a test option. Here he is, but we say things and we don't mean things. It's all good.
we've seen Kohli for 7 years now. What surprises you? Come on. Let's not get that.
All
These
right.
are good times.
All right. So I don't know if you've talked about the Indian captain yet. So I think it's time to do that now. So at number 5 will be Ajinkya Rahane.
Kohli is not watching this.
Look, at one point of time, we used to kid about this, but Rahane has really, really shown his leadership mettle and his
And
capabilities.
I mean,
And
he's beyond proving anything now. Come on. I
exactly.
mean,
And this is not a
he's
troll. This is not a troll. This is,
no,
if anything,
absolutely.
it's a
He,
compliment for Rahane.
if he was to retire today, he would retire a happy man and maybe retire as one of the all-time great captains of India.
Yeah,
Probably
never ever
having
lost.
captained only
Like,
for five
I mean, like
tests.
who wins that kind of a test match? Anyway, it's so easy to get drawn into Brisbane again and again. But I don't even know what Rahane has to prove in this series, and I don't know if India expect anything from him other than just his safekeeping in the slips. I think that's what India
Yeah,
will be looking forward to. As long as he's able to be an ally for Ashwin and the rest of the spinners, his job will be done.
yeah,
I think.
absolutely, absolutely.
That brings us to like number 6 for both teams. You want to talk about the keepers now, or
I
how
have
you
a
want?
wide smile on my face.
You have a wide
Now
smile on your
talking
face
about
because you get to talk about Rishabh Pant now.
yes, we get to talk about him. It's
Okay,
a
so
crazy situation, it's a crazy situation because it's about the depth of riches in the Indian contingent that there's still some doubt whether Rishabh Pant might play, may not play. I think he's undroppable right now. But team combinations will make it fascinating. If India decide to go with five bowlers, Rishabh Pant has to keep. Now, it's been said time and again that Saha is a better keeper to spinners, and keeping low, Saha has to be there. Blah blah blah. And to be fair, last home season Saha kept absolutely brilliantly. There's no doubt about that. But if you want to play Saha, then it would mean that you are playing only four bowlers. Now, in this COVID, environment and all, how comfortable you are playing with four bowlers, I highly doubt that. So for me, I think Rishabh Pant has to keep. You just have to train him better to be a keeper, or I mean, just play him as a batsman wherever you want to. It doesn't matter. Just don't let him go this time, please. That's a request. Please make him play at home. You don't want him to be walking every time at Brisbane or Sydney just to rescue you from impossible situations, the Oval or Sydney again. So just just let him be. That's my take on Pant.
mhm.
So
And
it
then
doesn't really matter whether he keeps or not to me. He has to be in the team. That's all.
in number 6, England have been dabbling with their own keepers for a while. So it started off with Johnny Bairstow around the middle of the last decade, and he was batting pretty decently around that time, and then he lost form. He lost his gloves, and
He
then
lost his stumps way too often.
he started losing his stumps way too
Way
often.
too often.
And then Joss Butler was brought in. He scored like one century after almost 40 tests. And now I have no idea what's happening with England. I don't even know if they're touring with their best side right now. Their eyes clearly seem to be on the T20 World Cup that's going to follow, because they're going to send Joss Butler away after the first test. They haven't bought Johnny Bairstow here, brought him. And in spite of the fact that he's one of their better performing batsmen in Asian conditions, I don't know who's number 6 for England. And Ben Foakes, the man of the series in England's last 3-0 series sweep, has not played since. Really, really ridiculous. Who do you think is going to be England's number 6?
They experimented with Dan Lawrence back in Sri Lanka, so I think he might get the nod. A left field option, I would think, would be Moeen Ali. Uh, Moeen Ali didn't want to play Test for a while, then the management literally begged him to come back to play red ball, and again another man who has a spectacular record with the bat in India, right? Again, 200s on the last trip to India in 2016. So In subcontinental conditions, you would expect Moeen Ali to have more of an impact as a bowler, but as a batsman, I think he can handle himself pretty well at number 6. So I think it would be Moeen Ali or Dan Lawrence, depending on, again, the combination that they want. 7 could be Butler, could be Foakes. I mean, again, the order might change, but one of those two could be getting the nod. So maybe Moeen Ali and Butler if England decide to go the aggressive way, Dan Lawrence and Ben Foakes if they want to play it safe. Either way, I think it's just a toss up.
Getting into the bowlers now, if Moeen Ali does play, do England still play Dom Bess and Jack Leach both, or would that be overkill in the spin department?
Oh well, that's a tough one actually because Dom Bess had a very good series in Sri Lanka. Granted, Sri Lankans batted horribly, playing all kinds of rubbish strokes to get out and all. But he will be difficult to drop, and Jack Leach is the option. I mean, personally, I'd want to keep my options open with regards to batting. So play 2 spinners, Moeen Ali and Jack Leach maybe. Have Bess roaming around the sidelines and come in if necessary, or if Moeen Ali flunks very badly, and then play the 3 pacers. So I think for me, Jack Leach and Moeen Ali would be the 2 spinners.
Mm-hmm.
For India.
And then the 2 people in your background, it's important to mention that there's a chance.
We'll talk about them. I think we mentioned first about the Indian spinners.
We will, yeah. So as far as the Indian spin department is concerned, so I mentioned that Jayant Yadav got a century last time around, never to be seen again. Shahbaz Nadeem played a test, solitary test in the last few years, and that was more like a debut come farewell sort of a match for him.
I think Kohli was just paying him back for that famous 2006 photo back in Pakistan, Rawalpindi.
Yeah, and
this is the photo.
Yeah, and then Kuldeep. I think Kuldeep might get a sympathy test this time around because he would have felt really bad at not having been picked in Brisbane and Washington Sundar playing over him.
You would think, having Washington Sundar picked ahead of him was an insult enough, and to add insult to injury, and for no fault of his, and to think that Washington actually justified that selection. That how crazy is that? More than justified, to be very honest. I mean, he must have felt bad, and how life completes a full circle. After the last test in 2018-19 series in Australia when we won, Ravi Shastri said Kuldeep is our #1 spinner in overseas conditions. I'm pretty sure everyone
remembers after that, right?
He's played a couple, but it's not important. The point is that he's completely been sidelined. So he might get a sympathy test, or he might not get it. There is a left-arm spinner, a Jadeja replacement in bowling that's available with us right now.
Jadeja replacement. He's just like a guy who bowls with his left arm.
Yes. So, in Indian conditions, I think. Nobody can replace Jadeja. Come on.
Personally, I would feel that I think India as a team have enough options in them to not play Akshar Patel at any point of time. But I could be proven wrong. He could play and he could pick a 6-4. But I don't even care anymore because all my predictions have been wrong after the Oscar.
We are just like fans. We don't really care if we get our predictions wrong. We don't.
I honestly think that from an ethical standpoint, I don't think we should be playing like just another left-arm spinner just because like
a Durham legend, just a Durham legend, just like that,
But on batting form alone, I think Washington Sundar looks better even better than Ashwin right now. To be batting at like just below Pant and then Ashwin, and then like my personal options would be Bumrah, Siraj, and Ishan Sharma, the 3 pacers and 2 spinners. What about you?
Knowing Kohli and his penchant for pace bowling,
I would fast bowlers.
I think the pitch will be interesting. There's this story going on about some 42-year-old, some banker or a textile worker preparing the pitch for Chepauk, and he said that the pitch would wear an English look. I think Kohli might want it that way, play his 3 fast bowlers the way he likes it. And, that's been a very, very noticeable change how Ashwin's had diminishing returns in home series over the last 3 years. In 2017 against Sri Lanka, he was hardly
diminishing as it is. Jadeja's taking like half his splits, right? Like all time.
That's true, but even Jadeja has had a limited role to play. I mean, Ashwin has got a nice spell here and there.
Fast bowlers.
It's been fast bowlers. Shami and Umesh Yadav and whoever has been called Ishan. They just run through sides like crazy. They've not allowed these guys to bowl. So and I think a lot of it has got to do with Kohli's liking for these guys. So you might expect a three-pronged pace attack and two spinners to do the donkey work. So yeah. You
This is
never
going to
know
be a
that.
second series in a row with Mohammad Shami at the peak of his bowling abilities, not playing the ongoing Test series, and us not missing him. Other than the fact that he bowls well, not like really missing the impact he has on for the team.
Absolutely. Another side context, this will be Jasprit Bumrah's first ever home test. How crazy is that?
After almost
He's
80 wickets away
yeah,
and some superlative, like if Jasprit Bumrah were to retire after the Brisbane Test, he could have had like a
he
yeah,
would still be a great. He would still be a
he would
great in
still be a
Indian
great,
cricket.
just a phenomenal bowler. I think Shami also averages close to 20 at home in the last 4 or 5 years. It's just
And guess what? There's so much context to this series in terms of small milestone. If all goes to plan, I could be going to watch Ishan Sharma's 100th Test match,
you could be
pink ball
watching Ishan
Test.
Sharma's 100 Test match, and they're going to definitely be watching Joe Root's 100 Test match in Chennai.
Oh, for sure.
Uh, it's going to be
So many
absolutely
things.
mind melting. I think it's important that we end by talking about the two greatest English fast bowlers of all time. Uh, uh, it's just for my own sake. Like I understand England trying to preserve as much of them as possible. If even if it's
Ashes coming up.
yeah, with the
Ashes
Ashes
coming up.
coming up, is it unfair that even if Jimmy Anderson is willing to play, is it unfair? Is it like a humanitarian, morally wrong thing to make a 39-year-old bowl 30 overs in
in
subcontinent cricket?
Madras, in Madras humidity, and not just any subcontinent pitch. It's Chennai, dude.
It's
Chennai, right?
I do
So
not
it's
know how
crazy.
he does it after 600 Test wickets. I don't know how that body has any energy in it.
You know what? I mean, I would maybe play him for the first test. I would definitely play him in the pink ball test for two reasons.
Because you are
Again, pink
going.
ball. Yeah, the first one is I'm going there, and the second one is going to be that's the only place where he has this chance of hooping it around in the evening before the ball gets all dewy and all. So I know the Ahmedabad weather. It's going to be quite dewy and quite wet late in the night. So it's going to be tough for him even then. But I think that drudgery in this heat and this humidity of Chennai, it's going to kill him. You don't
What
want
about
that to happen.
what about this?
And there is a backdrop of an India series, 5 test series coming up later in the year, and an Ashes coming up. So really don't want him spent at the end of this India tour carrying a career-ending niggle.
uh,
Especially when they've got an almost a like for a like replacement,
Faster,
who is
like for like replacement.
faster and who's almost
Veteran.
got the same number of wickets.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
And
So
Stuart
I
Broad
think I
looks
think.
good. Stuart Broad looks good for another 200 Test wickets, right? At least another
Oh,
150 Test wickets.
definitely. We can definitely have a wager that Stuart Broad is going to surpass Jimmy Anderson at some point in his career for sure.
Do you think that at any point of time, and I just feel like I need to ask this, do you think that during the series there's any chance of a 36 all out happening again for us?
For us,
Yes.
you must be joking, dude. You must be joking, though. No. Just
Was
look at the lineup.
okay, not
Yeah.
a 36. Is a historic collapse a possibility for India this series?
There's just way too much, talent and depth in the batting. Just count the names all over again. Rohit, Gill, Pujara, Kohli,
There were some big
Rahane, Pant.
names during the 36 all out as well.
It was still an overseas pink ball test match. I know it's third afternoon, but and the quality of bowlers, Cummins, Hazelwood, and Nathan Lyon.
And now we
I'm
have
not going to
Jimmy
mention
Anderson,
them.
Stuart Broad,
Yeah.
and
But
Jofra
in
Archer.
Ahmedabad, I won't be grudging that. I won't be grudging if a 36 all-out kind of scenario had to happen with us. I mean, that would make this series more fun. But honestly, in India, having not lost a test match in ages, it's tough to imagine that happening. And you know that too. I think the last name that we need to discuss is
Oh
Jofra.
yeah,
He's probably going to play 2 or 3 test matches in this series. So
yeah, personally, I think like Jofra Archer should be used that way as well. I think like all English bowlers and even like all Indian bowlers as well, right? I don't see any reason for any fast bowler to play like all 4 tests of a series. There should always be enough reserves to kind of
yeah,
give them a couple of tests
And the Australia series has shown we might play anybody and we're still going to win.
So
Yeah.
Jofra Archer, I'm just excited to watch him in whites, in Chennai and in Ahmedabad. It's just like a really, really joyous occasion. I feel like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a question of whether he himself enjoys seeing himself in whites. That really is the question. The world loves to watch him in action. Again, he's one of those Kohli-like characters that it's magnetic. And if he really starts revving it up, a Kohli versus Archer contest is going to be fascinating. If he can manage to crank it up. But yeah, I just hope that he has enough in his tank, and Joe Root has his newfound captaincy skills at work and doesn't bowl him to dust in those long spells that he's prone to doing to Jimmy Broad, and he did that to even Jofra in the Ashes.
He tried destroying James Anderson, who would not be destroyed by anyone.
He just kept running, but Jofra, you could see Jofra at the end of that Ashes completely knackered.
He was really knackered, but that was also following like a really intense World Cup as well. It was his debut year. Hopefully, he's calmed down a little bit. He's got some time off, so Kohli versus Archer, Ashwin versus Root, and I guess that's about it.
Gill versus the world. Gill versus the world. Come on, bring it on.
Yes.
So, but I think this is.
If England was short-sighted and also picked Mark Wood for this series and not just focus on the limited overs World Cup, England could have had two fast bowlers close to 150. I mean, that's the best you can do against us, right? I mean, what more are you going to be able to bring against us?
Some things just keeps telling me that England are not taking the series very seriously. To be very, they'll be happy competing in it, but I'm not quite certain they're putting their best foot forward in actually wanting to win this one. The way the players have kept, I don't understand how Johnny Bairstow got tired in 2 Test matches in Sri Lanka and had to take a break. Same for Mark Wood, but obviously their sights set on the IPL, the World Cup, and all those things. So fair game to them. Can't complain. Maybe Captain Morgan is calling the shots here, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just takes the fun away from the series a little bit. India are coming close to full strength, which as such is a very, very difficult proposition to handle, and are missing our MVP, right? We still are missing, of course,
and Mohammad Shami.
Yeah. So, but we've got enough to sweep this series. But the expectation is
going to take superhuman effort from England to win in India, though.
Yeah, absolutely. With the top 3, it just is looking a very, very dreary picture that England have and that India have. So. That's it. Man for man, I think Joe Root versus Virat Kohli might be a contest. Spin wise, we are way ahead. Fast bowling again in home conditions, probably we outscore them every which way. So I think number 4 and number 5 are the 2 spots where man for man they could stand up to us. Otherwise, it's looking a pretty difficult proposition.
Well, on that note, let's hope that it continues to be a great series as we've had so far. Nothing can match up to the Border Gavaskar Trophy, but hope that this series comes close.
Yeah, this series comes close. There's another.
Let's enjoy it in isolation and not try to compare it with like whatever happened
to the Border Gavaskar. Absolutely, I think it's unfair to compare any series that's going to come up to the Border Gavaskar. So I think that's absolutely true.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us again. We hope you liked this episode, and make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll see you very soon.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much. See ya.
Bye-bye.